Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. So, first things first, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Turkey Day. Hope you guys have been enjoying your little holiday. So, around like in 2021 or late 2020, I got into watching Gossip Girl. If you don't know what the show Gossip Girl, it's basically about an anonymous blog posts secrets of rich kids on the Upper East Side, and it like creates all kinds of scandals. And it stars Blake Lively, Lane. It stars Blake Lively, Lane Meester. I think I said her name right. Penn Badgley. If you don't know who Penn Badgley is, he's basically that guy in You. I forgot that character's name in You. It's been such a long time since I watched that show. Oh god. I'm not on that character's side at all. That's another story. But anyway. And Chase Crawford. Ed Cheswick, I think. And Taylor Momsen. And one of my favorite types of episodes from that show, and I feel like it's every fan's like personal favorites from that show, is the Thanksgiving episodes, because it's the episodes that create the most drama, the most humor, and it's just simply nice to just watch holiday episodes, because most holiday episodes center around like Christmas, and seldom we see shows that tackle like to have like special like other holiday episodes. Like Friends also has like their Thanksgiving episodes, but like I do like the Thanksgiving episode that I wanted to like talk about. The first Thanksgiving episode in season 1, Blair Waldorf Must Pie. So the plot centers around Dan inviting Serena and her family over for dinner after a huge fight with Blair. However, they are unaware with Rufus and Lily's rekindled new like friendliness, because like in episodes earlier, Rufus and Lily have rekindled to an extent their relationship. And also Rufus is Dan's dad. Lily is Serena and Eric's dad. And they don't know that Rufus and Lily used to date in the past. Rufus used to be a rock star in the past in a famous or like a well-known like grunge rock band, which is so so cool to an extent. I would like to be in a band, but anyway. And Lily was just like Serena when she was younger. And they had a past relationship. Now, before the show's events, Rufus and his current wife are now kind of going through a rough patch. I think, if I remember correctly, Rufus's old wife cheated or emotionally cheated on him, and she went to Hudson to kind of like give some space from their relationship, while Dan, played by Penn Badgley, Jenny, played by Taylor Momsen, visit sometimes in Hudson to just simply like visit and keep the peace, keep it civil. But Jenny, in an earlier episode or last episode, went to Hudson to visit her mother and brought her back because her mother wanted to try again. She wanted to see if they can make it work. And kudos to her for like trying to make it work, but like maybe you should have tried sooner, apparently, because like Rufus and Lily rekindled their like relationship to an extent, or they're just simply on more friendlier terms, so friendly that they even kissed. Blair and her mother are also having some drama too, because Thanksgiving is Blair's favorite holiday, and she usually spends it with her family and her dad mostly, because like her dad makes the holiday like better. And we get to see like flashbacks like to over like last year's Thanksgiving. And but Blair is having drama with her mom because in the pilot we find out that, I'm sorry, not in the pilot, but like in the second episode of season 1, Blair's dad has separated from her mother because he is gay, and he left her to be with another model who worked for Eleanor, Blair's mother. And that has obviously like put the family in a more tenser place. And obviously like Blair was feeling very lonely. She was kind of like, she was also like, this was actually around the same time that Serena left New York to go to boarding school after she slept with Nate. So shitty thing after shitty thing has happened to Blair. So she was looking forward she was very much looking forward to Thanksgiving because she was under the impression that her dad was coming this year. But her mom told her that she lied to her and said like her dad's not coming. There was kind of like, what do you mean he's not coming? I can't believe he's not coming. Like, he would like let me know if something was up. So like Dorota asked her to call her dad because Dorota knows that Eleanor is lying. So Blair calls her dad, I think, and her dad tells her that Eleanor told him that Blair was so mad at him that Eleanor told him that Blair didn't want to see him at all because she's still mad. Obviously Blair is kind of like upset, but she's not completely like upset with him. She still wanted to see him because obviously like she's not mad at him to an extent, like kind of like not really, but like she's just disappointed, like confused that like her family is kind of like falling apart and still trying to like keep it together. But in their like environment and society in the Upper East Side, that's kind of like, she feels that's kind of like impossible for her to do. So when Blair confronts her mom, they get into like a little bit of a fight. This kind of like causes Blair to be so upset that she starts to binge because she has an eating disorder and bulimia, to be more specific. And she eats an entire like pie, and we see flashbacks of her eating lunch with Nate and going into the bathroom, and you kind of like understand the rest. And this is all happening while Serena is at Dan's place. So after Serena left Blair's place, because their entire fight was about Serena knowing that Chuck and Blair had kissed, or she spotted them together, and she learns that Blair slept with Chuck. This prompts like a huge kind of like a fight between them because there's already so much tension because, again, Serena slept with Nate and he was still with Blair. And obviously at this point, they and Blair are not together anymore. So Serena leaves, still like feeling pissed off at Blair. And obviously she's not invited to like stay for Thanksgiving. So she, Eric, and her mom have to find somewhere else to figure out another plan for Thanksgiving because Lily doesn't cook, and obviously like they don't cook. They don't know how to cook either. So like they were originally like planning to like eat a duck and maybe like some like Chinese food in like their hotel room, walking through Chinatown and just like trying to like do all that. So Serena tells Dan this, and Dan invites Serena and her family over to dinner. And again, like I said earlier, they are completely unaware that Lily and Rufus know each other. So Lily is trying to get out of this as much as possible, even like ordering room service and like pretending that she's not feeling well. And obviously Dan, being the gentleman that he is to an extent, like insists that she like joins their family because like family should be together for Thanksgiving. Lily agrees. And she gives Rufus a call to let him know, hey, your son invited me over to your place. They don't know that we are friendly now, that we know each other. So just letting you know that I'm coming here. But also, I look forward to seeing you. And they get over to her place. And Lily is greeted to Rufus's wife. And it's just so awkward from there. Oh, so Rufus, Lily, and Allison, Rufus's wife, are just trying to like figure out how to make this dinner not as awkward as it seems, because Lily did not know that Allison was going to be there, and Allison obviously like did not know that Lily was still in the picture. But obviously, if she's seen like Serena, you know, and Dan are like obviously like together, she would kind of like already like know that Lily's still in the picture. She's still like in Rufus's life to an extent. If Serena is coming over and Dan is dating her, she should kind of like put two and two together. So like anyway, they're trying to make this not as awkward as it seems. Lily tells Allison that, hey, the kids don't know. She's like, okay, fine. And there's like so much tension because, again, Lily still has feelings for Rufus. And dinner goes okay to an extent. It's still a little bit awkward. And Blair calls Serena as after her relapse kind of happened. Hearing this, Serena goes to help Blair. And while she leaves, or after she left, this is where the true drama starts to kick in. So, Jenny was kind of like asking Lily where she was from, where did she grow up, and Lily kind of like gives information that she used to have like a little bit of a horse, I think. And this prompts Stan and Jenny to reminisce about like, or bring up a song that their dad wrote. And it was so specific that Allison thought that that song was about her, but actually that song was about Lily. And this is where it really comes out. They found out that Rufus and Lily had a past. They were together. And Allison is so upset by this revelation that she's so upset about the revelation of the song that she just storms out of the apartment. Dan follows her, and then the kids, Eric and Jenny, go to Jenny's room to think. And Rufus and Lily are left there to like talk. So we have a few talks. We have some scenes alone with them. Dan and like his mom, Allison, go have a walk. They talk about their past. The reason why Allison hates Lily to an extent is because like Lily was Rufus's first great love, and she feels like Lily never lets her live that down. And Dan is kind of like disappointed that like his dad never like told him about this when he was talking about like his situation with like Serena. All like Rufus's like little pep talks about the girl that like he like that girl that he never got over, or like something, I don't know, something about that, like that blonde dangerous girl. He was talking about Serena's mom. Obvious. It's so obvious. I mean, it's so like obvious to an extent. But yeah, some talks happen. Rufus and Lily try to like talk about like what's their situation, and as they're talking, Allison comes back and finds out that Rufus and Lily kissed at Eleanor's party. And this is where Allison makes an ultimatum. Either Rufus chooses her or Lily, because she doesn't want Lily around if they really want to make this work. And Rufus agrees. While all this is happening, Serena comforts Blair about her recent relapse, and she takes Blair back to the Humphreys. Then Serena finds out about her mom and Rufus's past. They like sneak out and like go to the diner, and Lily like comes to the diner and like spends time with her kids and telling them a little bit of stories about her past life. And that kind of like sort of like ends the episode there. Also, they have the Humphreys are seemingly back together, and they like go out and like play like a little bit of family football. And also Blair makes up with her mom, because Blair learns that the divorce papers for like her mom and like her dad came in, and her mom couldn't face her dad that day, and she just didn't want Blair to like choose between like her mom and her dad, because obviously like her dad would win. But like I didn't like how Eleanor behaved in the episode, but like I liked that Eleanor in the end was honest, and like she was very comforting in the end, because later on in the show that Eleanor proved that like she actually was kind of like a good mom to the best of her abilities. She actually like cared about Blair. In the pilot, she seemed so like mean and cold and judgmental. Obviously, she was played by like another actress in the first pilot. But later on in the show, she grew on the audience. But while all that's happening, Nate was going through it this episode. I don't have that much notes about Nate, but Nate's dad's drug addiction has come up, and the family is having a very tense dinner. Nate's dad's actions are finally like coming up full circle. His family's kind of like on their wits end with, not their wits end. Their family's kind of like shunned from their like little social circles. Nate's mom is like fuming because this is now like affecting her, because like charities have kind of like uninvited her, and like she's now not well liked. And Nate is kind of having enough with his family's bullshit. So he storms out, and this makes his dad very upset. And Nate comes back to find his dad having overdosed. They take him to the hospital. He's all right. But Nate and his mom is still having a bit of conflict. Nate's mom kind of like reveals that like Nate's dad kind of like had most of like everything handed to him. His job, like his entire like law firm practice, I think his dad's like a lawyer. But even with like everything like having been like planned and like handed to Nate's dad still fell into like addiction problems, and it's not really like, no one's really happy in this like situation. And Nate's mom is kind of like worried about like appearances and like social standing, rather than like making sure like her son and her husband's okay. And even though Nate's dad's not perfect himself, and like there's like obviously like there's gonna be like a forever like throughout the show, it's not really gonna be like a huge like connection to him. I don't think we see him that much in the next two, like after season 2, like at all, really. But overall in this episode, Nate's just been feeling like very lonely because he's not with like any of his friends. Chuck's not actually right. I think like this is like one of the rarest moments like where Chuck is not in this episode like at all, which is weird. But anyway, I don't think everyone's like really noticed that. Like Chuck's not in that episode at all. But Nate is feeling very lonely, and he is also like he's also kind of like reminiscing like Thanksgiving last year with like because like he had like Blair and Serena and Chuck to an extent, and now this year he has like no one, and he's just simply like feeling lonely. But that's kind of all I have for like kind of like explaining the plot. Now going on to like what I liked about the episode. I mentioned like there's like the whole episode was playing in between like flashbacks and also like what was happening like in the present. I kind of like when like episodes kind of like when a show does that, when it's done in like good taste. I think one show that I'm thinking about specifically that does this is like Jenny and Georgia, and throughout that story like we see like flashbacks in between like necessary scenes to like see Georgia's past and like how like she ended up the way she is, and this and like the transitions and the scenes match, like they just go together really well. And the flashbacks really like help paint a picture about like what was like life like last year before. The flashbacks help paint a picture like what about what their lives were like before Serena left, and almost everything really like checks out. Like obviously everyone's like a little bit more happier, everyone's like, but also like everyone's like lying to each other, they're not really being like fully honest because like Nate and Serena are like still in a very like flirty place, specifically like with one flashback because like the entire flashback Serena and Blair go out, Serena gets drunk, and Blair's trying to like get Serena back home to her mother, and Serena like joins Blair for Thanksgiving. Nate comes over to Blair's house, and Blair asks Nate to like help with Serena. So like child Nate helps like try to like wash Serena like off, like try to get her clean. And the two just were like flirting and like playing with like water and stuff, like having like a little like water fight. And Blair like comes in, and then they like all start to have like a little fun like water fight. And everything like in that moment seemed like it was like fine because like they were all like happy, but like obviously like that no good was really like happening there because like again Nate and Serena were like just being like very dishonest to Blair. Another thing that I liked about the episode, it was kind of like giving people a moment to like sympathize with Blair, because earlier in the season she's kind of like painted as like a mean girl, kind of like a bitch, and obviously like all those things are just like true, but like it's not really all like that. Like I don't really think like no one is truly like that. Sometimes like people are the way they are because of like their experiences or like bad experiences, and they kind of like use that as like an excuse to like treat people or like be shitty. And obviously like what we're learning about Blair isn't like an excuse for her being mean to other people, but it gives like an honest, like it gives like an understandable explanation because of like their environment, their surroundings. We learn that Blair has like an eating disorder. We learn that Blair really isn't that mean. She's just like reacting to like all the like negative things that are like happening to her, and like feeling super pressured to like live up to like an image that everyone's kind of like set up for her, and to what her mother kind of like sets up for her too. And obviously this kind of like made Blair feel very insecure. Obviously like her friendship with Serena like it doesn't really like do much well. It doesn't really do much good for her mental health either, because like Serena is not that much of a good friend. Sometimes she actively like tries to like make Blair feel insecure sometimes. And I mean, like the biggest like betrayal is like hers like sleeping with like Nate. And also like Nate's not really been like a good friend or even a boyfriend either. So she just feels very like betrayed. She just feels lonely in general. And we just get that moment like in this episode to really like sympathize with Blair. And it makes you understand like why she has so many of her walls up. Why does she like sink into dark habits? Why she just falls for Chuck and ends up with Chuck? Because, you know, her environment isn't really that good for her. And but at least one good thing happened out of this episode. We get to see Blair and her mom just simply hug and just simply like have like a good like just have like a sweet moment in the end, and just simply like eat her dad's pumpkin pie and just simply talk. And when Blair hugged her mom, I got the sense that they don't really hug that much. Like Blair and her mom just don't really hug that much, don't really talk that much. They're just not really that close. And it's moments like that where I think maybe they just need to like work on their relationship even more. And last but not least, the reason why I just like this episode is because nowadays you just get like huge nostalgia. The show came out like a year after I was born in 2007. Hold on, let me like check and see if I'm right. One moment, please. Yeah, it came out in 2007. It came out in 2007, a year after I was born. I was born in 2006. And obviously, I did not experience like the show in real time when it was on the air. In fact, it's completely off the air. It's just now on streaming services like HBO, Max, Netflix, and I've just simply like watched it like in the last like maybe like 3 years. But I do enjoy Gossip Girl so much, and I get like so lost in like when I watch like shows that like center around like New York, because I am also from New York. Not technically, I'm not. Like half of my family from my mother's side is from New York, specifically from Albany. And I was raised and I grew up in the South, like Alabama to be specific. And I've always wanted to like go to New York because I just want to like experience New York. I kind of want to live in New York one day. I feel like I click more in New York. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I would just simply, I just fit more in New York for some reason. Even though it's bigger, even though it's more smelly, even though there's a lot of people, for some reason, I would like, I would still like kind of like manage and survive in like New York, because like from where I live, like it's just no different. Like I feel like it's just no different from where I live in Alabama, because it just feels like it feels like the same to me. It's just like I just have to like walk to get to places and like learn the subway and learn the boroughs of New York. But the one thing that I would miss if I moved to New York is just simply driving. I would have to give up driving. And I love driving. I just love it. Like I've been driving the last like since like August, really. Like fully driving by myself. And I just I just want to like savor like the moments of like driving before I like truly like decide one day I want to move to New York, and I can just give up driving and just like learn to like like simply like learn the subway route, because I feel like I just won't really have like money for taxi. And if I really miss driving, I can just simply like rent a car one day and just like drive around the city. Like I would have to learn to drive in the city one day. But anyway, that's like my last reason about like why I like the show. Mostly because of nostalgia, and it like introduces people to like the show, and like seeing new fans of the show is very like it's very like cool and nice. It's like I like it when shows like get like they just like reach new like generations, and you can just simply like talk about it to like younger people. But like it gets frustrating when like you like have like one take about the show that you like watched since like you were so little, and they just like have another different take, and you're just like trying to like explain like, no, this is how it is, this is just how it is. Like I sound like ridiculous, but like specifically if I like meet a much younger person who's like getting into the Fairly Odd Parents for the first time, and I'm just like trying to explain like the whole lore and of like the Fairly Odd Parents, and like try to like explain that like the Oh Yeah cartoons are sort of canon to the original, and me having to like explain that the Fairly Odd Parents is technically much older, and like it had like a whole like 10 episode like pilot series, season 0, and younger fans do not understand like there's like an entire lore to the Fairly Odd Parents than like what season 1 is basically like put out, because like season 1 of the Fairly Odd Parents is basically just like Timmy and Cosmo and Wanda getting more acquainted with each other, because like the groundwork was mostly put in the Oh Yeah cartoons, and you just have to like watch the Oh Yeah cartoons to like understand like their dynamic a little bit more, and it's more fleshed out in the TV show, like because it builds off of that. It's just like it's like a canon like thing. And if a younger person who watches the Fairly Odd Parents is not getting that, if they watch like the newest version, I forgot the name, but I was hesitant to watch like the I was super hesitant to like watch like the new version of the Fairly Odd Parents, but I've watched it months ago, and it shows good promise, and it's just so nice to like see like your favorite show like reach other audiences. That's just the whole point of this, like why I like this episode of Gossip Girl. But I just like it. Anyway, that's my little rant, my little like treat for you, my little Thanksgiving treat. So that's kind of all I have for today. It's been a nice talk. We'll talk later. Okay, I'll promise. All right. Bye.